welcome back to another episode of World Bigfoot.
Well, it's like that. Unfortunately, the mega teepee that you didn't quite make it to, they just built that since last year. We got video of it just being an X structure there last year, and now there's this giant partially constructed teepee there. And some of those trees that they pushed over are like that frickin' thick.
Yes, exactly.
I don't care if you got block and tackle or what. Humans aren't doing that.
That's exactly right. You know, and the thing is, you can also, what Cindy and I have done before, some of these we found here while we were in the woods there, we go back for like 5, if we find something like that, we'll go back 5 days in a row. We'll go back the same time every day, and we'll take about 7 pictures right there, just one right after each minute, so that we can see if that's shadows or if that's something being added to it. And nearly every time we've done that, it's been something that has been added to it. It's not something that has been shadows or anything. As a matter of fact, no time has it been, you know, because, you know, you pretty much know when you're down there in the area, you know generally what's new and what's not. And to see those things like that and how it's been, you've had a new tree or a new limb that's been added, or a new one that's been pushed into like a bow trap or something other like that, and you see that right there, and there's just no denying what it is. And anybody that doesn't believe that, well, I feel sorry for them, because they're really missing an opportunity to see something that's you know, everybody goes to the Great Pyramid over. Oh wait, gee, I wonder how that stuff was made. See what a Bigfoot does with one of those big lodgepole.
yeah, you got a teepee structure. It's like 60 feet tall, and you're going like, that looks like the Great Pyramid to me right here. I don't need to go
exactly.
And I have a pretty good idea on who built this one, probably better than you do on who built the Great Pyramid.
Yeah, and then look down at the bottom of the ground and find you an 18-inch footprint sitting right there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like I've signed, like some of these artists, when they get through doing their pictures, they put their name down there at the bottom. Well, that's kind of how this is. When they
big footprint.
That's right. They get that.
And let me point this out to people that live in other parts of the country that have tornadoes. We don't. The last time there was a tornado in the state they even admitted happened here was like 30 years ago. And you do not get tornadoes in the middle of the mountain ranges ever. So the only thing that can account for fallen trees up there is windstorms. Winds go in one direction. They don't go in a circle. They don't go in multiple directions, especially in a bowl in the middle of a mountain range.
It's a straight line.
If the wind can even get in there, it's going to straight line, okay? And I took you across that ridge line where they got their playground. How many giant trees did you see laying in weird, all different directions? None of them were laying in the same direction.
Right.
And it had all been shoved over last year.
None
of that deadfall was there the year before.
That's right. If it was wind damage or snow damage or anything, it would all be in the same direction, but it's not.
No.
You know, and man, I've got tornadoes here where I'm at. You know, I live in Texas. I mean, Arkansas, and 3 miles from the state of Texas. Texas gets tornadoes. Arkansas gets tornadoes. Oklahoma is Tornado Alley up there. And I have looked at some of this tornado. My wife likes to look at storm damage when we get a chance. Man, I've gotten out and looked at all that stuff. I know what tornado damage was, and it's not being laid in the same kind of formations is what these Bigfoot structures are. You know, sometimes you say, well, you know, this is kind of weird right here, and you say, can't say it is and can't say that. But if the emphasis is it more likely than not, and have you ever seen this done before in a natural way? And when the answer is no, you've got to realize that there is a different cause of what you're looking at. And and when
the other thing too is that they'll make just random piles of timber, weird things, jungle gyms for the kids to run around on, obstacles to keep things out, whatever it is, but they make symmetrical objects. It's that symmetry that gives it away. They got 2 lodgepole pines that don't have any branches or bark on them that are exactly the same width and height, and they just happen to be exactly X-shaped.
Exactly. The gugaway tree that I was looking at the day that I saw that gugaway on March the 1st, couple of years ago, and I sent you that picture. The trees are so symmetrical. Both of them have got one fork coming off the top. Both of them are the same length. Both of them are crossed a certain way right there. I mean, it is. It's almost like they're obsessive compulsive in the way they do things. I sent you another picture where the thing was had been turned upside down, and this was a big tree, and then a couple of days later, a big windstorm came, and it had made the tree whether it was leaning. I went back here a couple of days later, and the thing had come in and straightened the thing up. So you know, that's not just happening. That's not squirrels. You know, that's not woodchucks out there on steroids trying to get their worth. This is something that's happening right there. That's that has a logical reason to it. And then when you've seen the things that are here, the creatures are here. They're definitely in your area up there, and then they're definitely down here in my area. And
Well, that the area across from camp where that lodgepole pine went over the second one when that
right,
thing fell down. Right near there, I was over there with Sunny the previous year, and she goes, "Look, there's an X right there." And I went, "No kidding. How did I not notice that here before?" And it wasn't too big. It was, like each piece is about that big around and maybe 15, 20 feet, and no branches and no bark, exactly the same diameter. And they're just like this. And I go walking over and looking at it. The one on the uphill side has a drag mark at the base
all right,
where it had just been moved about 1.5 feet, which now made it perfectly symmetrical.
right.
Until that point, it was off kilter.
That's
And
right.
somehow, apparently within a day or two of us being there, somebody shoves the bottom down to make it nice and straight and symmetrical again. Who the hell's wandering around the woods fixing tree structures?
Oh, yeah,
Especially one we never even noticed before. She
it's
noticed
not-
it, and I'm like, well, that does look like an X. Walk over there going, and somebody just straightened the bottom on this one. Good job, guys.
it's not Monk Park Ranger,
That's a little bit too strange. If that was just random nature, okay, there's two dead trees leaning together. It kind of looks like an X. Neither one of them's in the ground, and the bottom on that one has obviously just been moved about 1.5 feet because you could see the drag mark on the ground with all the leaves and the dirt
That's right.
scraped out of the way where something had just moved.
It is. People they've got to realize there's things here on this earth that we don't know everything about. And whether you want to classify Bigfoot as a race of people, or whether some people want to have them as, as some of them, like I said, we have a species down here. Not every species. We got 5 or 6 species down here, and that they use trees, they use a wood to communicate. Even the early cavemen, if you believe in the cavemen stuff, using the trees as forest for tools and things, and that's something that still happens today. You watch some of these National Geographic shows with some of these creatures, and so with some of the orangutans and things like that, and how they use the trees to do some of their building. There was actually my cousin sent me a picture from one of the new zoos that they had put into the ape exhibit they had, and they had some gorillas in there. And as it is, the trees that they had drug in there for those gorillas to play on, he was talking to the lady, and she said, yeah, the lady, the zookeeper there, and she goes, we brought those logs in here. She said, but we didn't stand those things up in that like that. They actually did that themselves. So that was pretty neat. And I wish I'll try to find out which one that is, but they actually took those big trees like that and actually turned them into structures themselves. Whether it was because the way they wanted to climb on them more, nobody knows what the reason is, but it's pretty sharp, and I've got a picture of those. So it's pretty cool. It's hard to understand, but there's things here that we don't understand with these creatures and with any creatures. So
yeah. Well, there are some similarities between the way they do business and the way the Sasquatch do. Like gorillas will make nests, temporary nests to sleep in, and we've documented and filmed Sasquatch doing exactly the same thing.
Okay.
You don't find them very often, but they do occasionally make themselves a little ground nest and then go take a snooze for a few hours or whatever. And obviously they're not using them over and over again. It's a temporary thing.
Unlike some radio show we heard not too long ago where some expert was saying, oh, no, they don't ever make nests. That's not so. I mean, I found 5 of them this year, and I sent you the pictures earlier. They're like the igloos, and then some of them are woven together, and some of them are more like lean-tos. I think it could either depend on the individual animal or the species, but they do make them. And there's a commonality in all these things. So they do those things. It's not, sometimes I think it's more of a hunting blind.
Well, I'm sure a lot of them are just blinds for catching stuff, because most of the time when you find what's actually obvious way you can tell a Bigfoot structure from something a human made, it serves no useful purpose.
Right.
Anything they make, you look at it and go, that's just cool looking, but what the hell is it for? You can't do anything with it. You couldn't throw a tarp over it. Like a teepee structure, you could throw a tarp over it. But all the rest of the stuff they make, no. Why would anybody make this? Why would anybody go to all this trouble putting all this stuff together? It doesn't serve any useful purpose. And like up here, they really don't need the shelter.
No.
If they're caught out in a rainstorm or something, they just stuck under a pine tree.
Yep.
There's their shelter. If it's going to be extended crappy weather, they go underground. There's plenty of caves and abandoned mines and stuff. They don't need to be out in it. Like down in your area, hey, there's old abandoned farms and stuff too. If you don't have an underground or you don't want to put something together, you can go hang out in an old abandoned barn or something too. Like that one idiot on that show the other night was saying they never do.
Yes. That's man. I know a man that'll tell you he's had 3 of them in his barn within the last couple of years, and he said they showed up for 2 years there. His barn the same way, and I haven't talked to him this year yet. But again, this area that I live in, there's a bunch of old abandoned farmhouses. Me and Reese found one day. Again, this place called Smith Park. There was actually the Bigfoot tracks walking around this barn, and where the thing stepped up into it was actually hand-sawn barnwood into the floor there, and they had made the purlings there for the floor, and the thing stepped between those 2 purlings and actually broke one of those it broke one of those hand-sawn logs, and about 18 inches. There's 24 inches between there, and so the thing had actually stepped there, the very same, I see, stepping up to the same door where we found the tracks at. So they do make those things, and people that say they don't, they're not being truthful with you. I think one of the shows there on, if you saw the show Boggy Creek 2 or whatever, one of the only truthful scenes in that was the man who had the Bigfoot that was living in his barn out there. And whenever he went out there, then the thing actually jumped out of the loft and went out the other way. So
there you go. Well, Igor Burtsev has something similar happening with this one guy he knows over in Siberia right now that's got some weird thing. They're not sure if it's a Sasquatch or what. They call it a troll, but it's living in his barn, basically.
Yeah.
And I've heard of a couple people down south actually getting chased out of barns by that. These were abandoned barns on abandoned farms. There was nobody living there.
Right.
But they were there investigating, and when they went in, right away, the smell, vocalizations, there's a Sasquatch in the barn growling or roaring at me. I'm getting the hell out of here. One of them saw him in there. The other one just heard him and got out.
Well, and that's the thing. The smell. I've told my wife before she ever finally had her first encounter. I said, you can fake everything you want to. I said, but you can't fake that smell. When she first smelled that smell her first time, she's like, she told the people, said, he said that you can't fake the smell. I said, you can't, and it couldn't. It is so strong. I found it in those nests that I'm telling you about that I found, and went in there and take a whiff, and you almost can't stay in there. It's so strong.
Yeah.
Naturally, it may depend on how long ago the creature had been in there or not, but still, there is, and there's something that they do, and in another way, that they're more familiar with their area, and they use the materials that they have, just like that we tend to do. So it's and that was something I was hoping that we might see up there when we were in Montana, but we didn't have as much time to look. But next time y'all find one, the next time I come, I'm going to see it.
Yeah, well, one thing we found on our way out that one time I spotted something that far down the pass, and I didn't have a chance to look at it then either because we were going up to get the campsite. But this time we were coming down, and because you got this slot canyon that runs east-west, every 2 or 3 hours it presents a different look to you because where the shadows are. Certain times of the day you can spot things easily that you can't see at all the rest of the day. So finding stuff is really like, let's go up and down the pass every 2 hours all day long and see what we can spot. That'd be the only way to canvass it effectively. So we're going out early afternoon, and well, of course, we had to stop and film all the moose that were there. And of course, I thought I saw another huge teepee structure and risked getting killed by a couple moose to go over and get close to it and film it. No, it wasn't one, but you'll get to see that. But right before we got to that, in the last real thick area of tangle, before you get out more onto the flats where we were at there with the moose, I saw not one but 2 giant asterisk structures right next to each other, bigger than the one we went and checked out by camp.
That's what you said.
So we got something really good to go look at the next time I go up there. And I got a really good idea on where they are exactly in the past. So I'm going to find them again no matter what time of day it is.
Yeah, that's a good tip for anybody, man, that thinks we're pulling their leg. You drive down the road the same time every day and you don't see it. Well, when the sun direction is from that direction, and it will make things where you've got the shadows on there and you can't see. A lot of times, some of the pictures I've gotten, I've had to come back and I tell Risa, man, it looks like something, but I'm going to drive back. Well, you just got back from there. Hey, you come back and you check it, and sure enough, it's totally different, and you've got a totally different viewpoint, so you can see what you thought you were looking at. And so that's a good. Don't just do the same time every day and think there's nothing there. When you get that opposite direction, it means everything in the world. So
yeah. Well, that big teepee structure down the pass, we had a hell of a time finding that thing over again the first 4 or 5 times we went looking for it. Sometimes we drove up and down the pass 2-3 times before we'd spot it, even though we had a pretty good idea on where it was in the pass. Now it's like we know exactly to within a few square feet of where we're pulling over because we've done it so many times. But one of the ways that we do it is you need to watch the top of the tree line, because no matter what time of the day it is, if you can see the top of the tree line, you can see that.
Oh.
And it's way up at the top of the tree line. You're not looking at the ground down there. You're looking way up here going, there's the top of the teepee.
Yeah. You know, and it's just, it never ceases to amaze me. You know, as you and I have both over 44 years, and to see these things, and the amount of respect that I have for these creatures for what they do. I mean, it's just, you're always surprised, and you don't know what's coming next, and that you're able to show other people who have open minds. They're like, yeah, I see that. You know, there's no way in the world this was done. So, you know, that was done by somebody, or done with a hoe, or done with a track hoe, or done with any kind of front end loader or anything else like that. These creatures are highly intelligent. They're highly strong, man. They can take that front end loader and flip it over with one arm if they want to.
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean, that's just the truth. You know, there's some
shadow we got there where the Super X used to be. See, Sasquatch at the Super X part 1, 2, and 3. He was about 12 feet tall. I went and stood right where he was standing. My head was barely peeking over the rock. That's where his waist was.
Well, where you were peeking, yeah. I mean, that's, you know, there's things that you know, people say, well, there's no way that. I've even heard other Bigfoot researchers, you know, they close their mind, well, that doesn't happen. Well, no, I thought the same thing when the first one I saw was 7.5 to 8 foot tall. Then the first time I saw a 9-footer, man, I like to fell out. I like to swallow my gum because I'm like, look at this thing. And then I saw another later on about 9.5 foot. But this thing, and then that Blackie one I'll tell you about, Blackie's probably 9.5 foot, shoulders 5 foot wide, and weigh 1,000 pounds. And you're looking at something like that, and you're like, oh, I hope he's in a good mood today, you know,
I know. People just don't have a good idea on scale either. I mean, like, look, 7 feet. Okay, that's Andre the Giant.
Right.
He weighed
exactly.
between 500 and 600 pounds. And he was built a little bit on the chubby side, not on the massive built like the Hulk side.
That's right.
So if you're 7 feet 2 like he was, and you're built like the Hulk, you're like 650, 700 pounds. Again, everybody always underestimating the weight. Now let's scale it up another foot. Now you're 8 feet tall. Now add 200 or 300 more pounds on.
That's right.
Now you're getting close to 1,000 pounds just for a husky 8-footer. Now go scale up more. Now you're at 9 feet. Look, when you see one of these in person, it's like you're looking at an elephant with fur on it. They're freaking huge. It's like looking at King Kong. You're not even thinking, oh, guy in a Bigfoot suit, Jack Link's commercial. No. This is furry elephant.
When you see a Bigfoot, you never think, and this is the honest truth, the Bigfoot that I've seen, never have I thought, oh, that's a guy in a suit. No. It ain't happened that way. When you look, the
only ones you could possibly mistake for something like that are the really young juveniles that are around human size, and they're just like human kids are. They haven't filled out yet. They don't have the wide shoulders. They don't have, some of them do have big muscles, but they usually aren't that maxed out yet. They're just kids, you know. They're like 5, 6, 7 years old, so they're only 6 or 7 feet tall.
You know, and that's such a good point that you make, because it is, like I said, not anybody I've ever heard. And I've interviewed over 150 people with firsthand or secondhand, you know, knowledge of seeing these things, but especially ones with firsthand, you know, and there was not a single one that thought, oh yeah, well, I thought that was a guy in a suit. No, they didn't think it was a guy. So they knew exactly what it was, or something different. They just didn't have a pigeonhole to put it in to see where they could put it. You know, you have people that don't want to believe. Like, the first one I ever saw, man, when I first saw the Bigfoot movie, the first one I saw, I thought, well, man, that's got to be a bear starting to stand up. Well, then once he got to where he had stood up to where he's about 7.5 foot tall, I knew it wasn't no bear. I wanted to make it out to be a sloth, except we don't have any kind of sloths. And when he walked here on 2
not
feet,
7 foot tall ones anyway. I hope you don't have
exactly
anything
right. You know, and you're sitting there and you know what you're looking at. And I had one old man here one day. We were talking. We were talking about Bigfoot and stuff. He goes, well, I believe that. He said, I've heard a lot of stuff out here around my farm. He said, but He said, I just don't know. He said, I don't know if I know what one was when I saw it. And I looked at him, I'm like, oh, yeah, you will.
Yeah, no kidding.
You don't have to get out the dictionary and start going through the pictures and see what it is. You know what it is. It's whether or not your mind is going to let you square around it and say, hey, that's what that is. But whenever it does, and then you see that somebody that you go to church with is telling you the same thing. You see that somebody, the guy who ends up throwing your paper tells you the same thing. The guy who brings your mail to you tells you the same thing. The guy that's working at the grocery store tells you he's seen the same thing. And these are people that you trust and respect. Then you realize, hey, there's more out here than what I'm you want to deal with or what I'm used to accepting. And when that starts happening, then you're on your way. And there's more and more of them. Our numbers down here in the South are growing, I promise you. I told you that when I was up there in Montana, I had a friend of mine I went to school with, and I graduated in 1977. And I saw him the other day at Sam's, and he said, we both had on our masks, so we had pulled down our masks, and we were sitting there talking, and he said, you still doing Bigfoot? And I said, yeah. And he said, man, he said, well, my mom and all three of my sisters have seen him, and I asked him what his name was. And so anyway, his name was a very famous name of somebody who is big in the world of Bigfoot research, where some of the first Bigfoot around here around Fouke were ever seen. And I'm like, why did I ever not put that together? He goes, well, I just didn't want people making fun of me. But once I found that out, and like I said, I'll be at his house up in the next couple of weeks to check those sightings out. But it's a place I've been to before. And there's one place down there, it's right on the edge of Boggy Creek. And whenever you get right down there, even the horses don't stand down there. The cows don't stand there. It's like it's a abandoned corner of that field. And when you get down there, man, all of a sudden your skin starts crawling. And you're like, this has got to
down there.
Yeah,
Get back to
the happen here. That's where it should have.
The first sighting and stuff, and some people theoretically going, oh, there's a person, or it's a person in a monkey suit, and you don't usually get that reaction. The first one that I saw, I didn't know what the hell I was looking at, but it clearly wasn't a person in a monkey suit. And then you get other people like Blaine Tyler way up there in Northeast Ontario. First time he sees one, he's a kid running around the woods on a camping trip, and he goes, hey, I didn't know there was gorillas here in Ontario. How about that? And he gets home and looks it up and goes, according to this book, there aren't gorillas in Ontario. What the hell was I looking at?
Yeah, exactly. And that's when seeing what they do, like we did on this trip up here, even though we can't say for sure that we did see a Sasquatch run the one you ran up on the hill right there. Man, seeing the evidence of what they do, I mean, you can't deny evidence. It's not like we just sit there and said, oh, well, I'm just going to show you just this old footprint. But where you have footprints and then you've got the noise that comes along with it, then you've got the trees that have been manipulated.
Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, I pulled off the ultimate hat trick, because finding tracks, okay, that's one thing. I told William, I'm going to show you juvenile tracks. Right. I'm going to take you to where the juvies run around all the time.
You did, and man, we found what, 20 to 30 juvenile tracks right there. Yeah. I actually found one right on the way before we got up in there. Yeah. And the first thing you said to me was, man, I told you we was going to find juvie tracks. It's almost like a daycare,
That's it. That's why we call that the playground area. That whole ridge line going up to where that big X used to be. Yep. All that stuff is rearranged. They pushed over stuff, moved it around, made arches, got X's, all this kind of stuff. And they've got one really well-beaten game trail that goes up that ridge line. We eventually made it to that. And that's where we found a lot of the tracks. Right. The one right after the other kind of tracks. But we were finding them randomly all over the place, going up toward that, because their kids are up there playing all the time. Which is, again, when I got up there with Shane the month before and was filming there where that timber tangle was, trying to do that comparison video. There's all the juvies right behind me in that timber tangle watching me. Well, why? Because we just walked across that hillside. There's only two of us. We aren't armed. They're curious. Oh, the adults said we can hang around with these guys. Let's go follow them, see what they're doing. And their kids, they got way too close. So I got 6 of them on video. Right.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. Me and Stephen had a day early in March this year, and like I said, I saw 2 7.5 footers walking side by side down the edge of the tree line before I ever even got turned off my engine. The wind was right, and I had just been driving real slow to look for tracks, and so I didn't shut my door. I got out to see, because usually there's a mom and a baby that walks down this way. I want to see if her tracks and the baby's tracks were there. So whenever I did, I just happened to look down in the edge of the field, and there's these two 7.5 footers walking down side by side. I mean, and this is the ultimate experience I've ever had, even though I've seen a lot of these creatures, because I get to see these things for 5 minutes and they don't know I'm there. And so they're interacting with each other the way that they normally would. You know, one of them walked out kind of towards the middle of the field. The other one came back and raised his hand towards the other one, like he was, you know, like if you and I would, or we were punching each other or something other like that right there. Yeah. And then finally, Stephen, who was a little bit late, came flying up the hill. And whenever he did, man, all of a sudden, you know, I'm sure they heard and saw the dust. And when they did, they just walked off into the woods. But Stephen and I are down there about an hour and a half. And as we get back to going to the vehicles, I had put out a camera that has an alarm on there that lets you know when something's in front of your camera right there. Before we even back to the truck, I'm getting this alarm going off, and there's like 6 of them that are in front of the camera. You know, and I mean, and I've got the pictures of them, and there's no way you can deny it. So, you know, it's just those are the things that you live for, and to see those things without them having any idea that I was there, because I was on a higher plane, and they're the grass that we have down there. We have like prairie grass there. And so they couldn't see me because of the prairie grass. And man, that was probably one of the coolest things that I'll carry with me to my grave, to be able to watch those things like that. So again, it's part of what we do, but they're there. And you know, some of these people charge you $3,000 for you to take them out and not see anything because they're sitting there pulling your leg. That's not the case up there where you're at, man. You know, like I said, you're taking people in.
I charge you $0 and take you out where there actually are Sasquatch, and it's up to you whether you scream and take off or not. But I will have you on the show to talk about it. Just the point that I don't charge you anything, because there's going to be an actual Sasquatch stuff going on up there when you get there, and it's up to you and your attitude how much of it you get to experience, and you know how much they like you, how much they will let themselves be seen. You know, neither you or Eric saw one for sure.
No, not for sure.
They've been looking at one that we filmed, and we don't know or anything.
Right.
But, you know, routinely, the guests that I have up there, a lot of them do see them, and some of them get to see more than one while they're up there.
Right.
So that's a crapshoot. You can't guarantee anybody's going to see anything. But what you can guarantee is you can take them to an area where there's actual activity going on. And if there is actual activity going on, people will be able to tell.
That's right.
And that's why I don't charge anybody anything, because when I take them up there, they're for sure going to have an experience. That's right. I don't need them to pay me for that. And because I can't guarantee what's going to happen. I can't guarantee you're going to see one. I can't guarantee you're not going to get zapped by one.
That's right.
You know, like I said, when I had Papa Craig on here, I said I should make a T-shirt that says I survived going on a Bigfoot expedition with Duke. There's a reason he doesn't charge you.
But, you know, and it's funny because of where you are. One thing that's a constant that I found, where Bigfoot has been once, he generally comes back again. And that's been true for me for all the 40 years I've been researching. I have a friend named Clint Capps. He contacted me this last year there, and coincidentally, I was calling him back. I'd missed the phone call. My phone service had been out for a little bit, so I called him back. And right as I did, coincidentally, he is there whenever we had this Valentine's Day snow this year, when we had 23 inches of snow.
Oh, God.
And at that time, I hear him say, "Man, that's William Lunsford calling me back." And so, show him what you got. So they're sitting there, and at the very place where I had seen a Bigfoot about 10 years ago when I was still driving for UPS, this very Bigfoot walks onto his property, and they're following the track line of this Bigfoot, this tightrope pattern of this Bigfoot, probably 16.5, 17-inch tracks, going right onto his property at the very same place that I had seen it 10 years before. So and Clint's got that. I showed that video to you when I was there, and I'd be glad to, you know, to send it. He's given me permission. I can send it to you if
right on.
You'd like to share on show. But they do it. So what you have, like I said, you get the opportunity to show somebody something anytime you go, and that's, you know, and that's all you can ask for right there, you know.
Well, I'll tell you what, I want to get down to you and Steven's research area and get a chance to go out with you guys and see how you do things down there too, because of course I'm curious. When I lived in Florida, I did some research in the jungles down there, which that ain't pleasant.
Yeah.
I'm imagining what you're dealing with would be somewhat similar, though maybe not quite as gatory and buggy as
Right.
the whole Florida thing, but pretty similar. More boony pigs, more other weird cryptids
Yep.
besides just skunk apes. And and then the other thing is I'd like to get over down to the Southwest and go check out the Navajo Nation there with Caveman and Brenda in their area. Again, completely different environment and terrain, completely different methodology for
Right.
going around doing the research on them. And I think this is a great idea to do kind of a research or exchange program. Let's see how these other guys in different parts of the country go about doing things and getting evidence. Because even though we're dealing with the same creatures, the way they have to go about doing things because their environment varies depending on where they're at.
Exactly. And that's true. People ask me, so I came back, they said, well, how many did you call in? I said, I didn't make a single call. You didn't try to call Bigfoot in, as good a call as you are? No, I didn't try to call him in because, like I said, I came to learn. And there, in your territory, you said they act differently, and they do.
Well, did we need to call them in?
No, we
Or
didn't
were
need
they
to. That's
there
exactly
right
right.
away? First
Right.
thing in the morning, there's a wood knock.
Yeah.
Then they're getting impatient, making noise. Hey, come out in the woods. Hey, come out in the woods. Hey,
Yeah, exactly. And so down here, sometimes you pull up and you'll sit 30, 45 minutes before you'll finally hear the first twig snap that one of them's walking around, and so it is different, so, and it's like I said, it's almost like a Bigfoot exchange, but the more you learn, man, the better it's going to be. I, as they get classified, that's great for me. I don't care. I want it to be somebody that actually cares about the creature instead of somebody just going out there and just blow them away and then try to, make the $1 million shot. I don't like that at all. I don't like people that sit there con people and charge them $3,000, take them to the woods. And like I said, they ain't got a chance of seeing a ground squirrel, man. I don't like that,
Well, the one thing I don't understand about the specific person that we're referencing here is that if you're actually taking these people out and quote unquote live interacting with Sasquatch, how come you're not having them on your show, which you have one afterwards to talk about what happened? You just keep mentioning that you're doing this, but we don't seem to see any of these guests on your show talking about what happened. What's up with that?
And they're claiming to go out into the woods wanting to have a Bigfoot encounter. So the next scene you see off their show is where they've got a flare gun out there, go, get away, go on. I thought your whole purpose was to go and have a Bigfoot encounter. You're having one now. You're trying to run them away. Come on, man, that doesn't make sense to me.
I can't nimbly run down a regular river, but I can cripply slug up an icy cold river, as I showed it last video.
Yeah.
As I'm wading up this river about way steep, going, I don't know why I'm doing this. Oh yeah, there's my friends crossing the river over there, hopping rock to rock.
Right.
I'll just walk up the middle of it. I don't care. Whatever.
When we did this show here, like I said, these folks, if they watch there, like I said, they're going to get to see me walking across this Bigfoot built bridge, and it evidently wouldn't hold him. It didn't hold me because, man, I lunged there one time, man, and just had to sit there and just laugh because there's nothing else you could do about it.
Yeah, I'm going to issue him a citation for lousy construction for that. Wouldn't even hold a juvie Sasquatch, much less a decent sized human went right through it.
Exactly, so yeah, they get to watch that and see that right there because it was pretty doggone funny. But that's one of the things we go through. It's not just where you're walking on even terrain, man. There's more crap can happen to you. You can shake a stick out there,
Well, that's part of the thing that, I don't know how it is in anybody else's research area, but where we're at, man, it's rough and there aren't any trails and the ground is never flat and it's a pain in the butt. You look at a place and go, oh, well, in normal terrain, it would take me 3 minutes to walk there.
Right.
Well, it takes you 20 minutes to walk there.
Right.
even if it was open terrain, it'd take you 3 minutes, but since where you are, 20.
That's right. And you're down there where I'm at, not only are you going to have to go through them vines, you have to watch that little rattlesnake that's laying there on the ground waiting to bite you when you walk through there. So you're going to have to be a whole lot more careful than what you are. You're going to be through the armadillo hole where you step in and turn an ankle and everything else like that. I can hurt myself bad enough without getting any help from these animals from the woods,
I know what that's like, and that's one of the bad things about Florida and some of those places because the underbrush is so thick. You can't see more than like 10, 15 feet if you're lucky. And when we were doing that down in Florida, I actually had a broadsword with me that I was using to make a path.
All right.
Hack your way through it.
Exactly.
Which you literally needed, or else you weren't getting through it.
You know, and the vines down here are so thick, some of the places that I go to, you can be going through and it'll actually stop you. I mean, you can't make any more forward progress. I mean, you're just there. They wrap around you basically, and you're just like, well, not getting through here, you know. So you just have to kind of, by then you're already stuck by about 50. Then you got to try to work your way through and have them out of your clothes so that you can turn around and go back. So you're right, it is totally different. And then you know, like those logs that you and I had to step over, like I said, like we're mountain horses, man. That was unreal. That was that one place. Every one, it was like I was, you know, running hurdles, you know.
I know. And you're like, aren't there any small trees that fall down up here? All of them have to have 3-foot diameter trunks, so I have to crawl over them.
Exactly, you know, and but that's the way it is, you know. And then like that, they're used to that terrain, you know, just like the ones down here are. And you know, it was quite an eye-opening experience for them. But like I said, it was something I really enjoyed. I said if anyone ever has the opportunity to go out with you like that, you know, it's going to be worth the money that they spend to do it. When I come back next time, I'm going to hopefully have my truck fixed, and I'm going to have to fly or, you know, rent a vehicle. And then I'll also have a daggum bear persuader or
Did you guys catch that now? When I come back next time.
Yeah, next time. That's exactly.
He's planning on coming back. And I'll tell you what, next time when he comes back, I think we're going to have his research partner, Stephen Hill, with too.
Yeah.
So we're going to have the dream team of the folk monster researchers up here in northern Montana and the Rockies visiting the Mega Squatch, and it should be fun.
Man, I'm so blessed to have good friends as researchers. Man, we're all friends first. There's not any jealousy and anything. And man, they'll do either of us will do anything for any of the other one that they ask, you know, and something like that. And we're truthful with our information. Stephen is certainly one. Stephen's a man that, you know, that commands a lot of respect. He could run for mayor of his town if he wanted to and get it, but he's too good a family man. He wouldn't want to spend that time away from his family. But he's one heck of a researcher, smart. Spends a lot of time in the woods learning from the other animals, you know, as far as for what they do, and then be able to apply it to his Bigfoot research. And just very glad to have him and Randy and Shannon, and like I said, to have Reese, my son, who's a great outdoorsman, and also to have my wife, who's boy, she's sharp as a tack. And it's hard for me to outthink her anymore. I conjured the marriage. I think that's the last time I got one over on her. So other than that, right there.
You don't see a whole lot of families where the whole family are actually going, okay, this is real. I'm interested. I want to go out too. So it's really spectacular that you got a situation like that. You hear a lot of it where it's like, well, the guy does the research. The wife puts up with it and thinks he's crazy, and the kids think he's crazy. Or like maybe one of them believes him, the rest of them think he's crazy. So it's really nice when you got the whole family all going like, yeah, this is real. We've all been out and seen this. This is real. You know?
Exactly. And ladies, man, ladies are great researchers. You ladies are more observant than we men are. That's just the honest truth. Yeah. You remember more than we do in situations of high stress like that. So, man, like I said, my wife is very good. I have several ladies that actually go out with me here. There's no jealousy there because my wife knows my Bigfoot is like my bass fishing. I'm all business when it gets to that stuff like that. But man, they help me so much in things and some of the ideas that they have. So you ladies, you know, I thank you for what you do, you know, because y'all are bringing a lot to it and bringing some credibility to it. It's not just us guys out there. It's, you know, I don't drink, but a lot of people call it beer camp, where they go out there and all they do is just get drunk and then tell stories. Well, that's not happening here. These ladies come out there, and man, they're bringing, you know, very high and very successful ladies who enjoy what they're doing just like we do. And man, I'll tell you, I'm glad that that's happening too, because like I said, my wife got there and make a call, and the darn things will walk to the edge of the woods. It's really amazing the effectiveness of her call. But I think it's also the fact that, you know, whether they can, like dogs, they can read your intuition. I think, and the way that you do things, I think they can do that with her. And so she gets them with her Canon AE1. She's got a picture of about 4, I think, this year already, something like that. And she walks down, whoop, you know, and all of a sudden, then here they are, like, here, take my picture, you know. So, but still, that's pretty cool too. But I'm glad to have her, like I said, and the ladies, Mary Boland. Again, we married, doesn't get to get out much, but she's been a very big asset to my research as well. You know, and they've awesome. Got a.
Well, the other thing is the women are less threatening than the guys are. Of the very small group of people that actually interact, communicate with them, the majority tend to be women. That's because right. The women are less threatening, so the Sasquatch will put their guards further down and have more interaction with them.
Right.
And, you know, I'm totally in favor of that. There should be You know, women on every Sasquatch team, really good looking ones that are going to distract the Sasquatch so much you can sneak up and get good video of them while they're busily watching the girls that you got with, see, which they were doing when Erin was up there, as she's joking around, just going in the circle with the camera and gets 6 of them watching her in one pan. Right about the time that she's not paying attention and me and Mike are wandering away from her. Right. Guess who is paying attention and watching her wander around? Something for the ladies to keep in mind. They do have that tendency to throw the girl over the shoulder and run off with her. The natives reported an awful lot of that happening.
That King Kong Fay Ray stuff, hey man, that's they
didn't get that from the gorillas and humans. They got that from the Sasquatch and humans.
That's right. So it does happen. Of course, I'm gonna anybody that goes with me, Sasquatch's gonna have to take one over my dead body, as far as that goes. But I think there's, so far it hasn't been aggressive, but they do tend to come in closer when the ladies are there. Man, and they'll tend to show a whole lot less aggressive side than when you're there with them, and
well, in our case with Erin was with us, she was not a Bigfoot researcher. She had never been out looking for them or on an expedition before, was not even completely convinced that they existed or anything like that. So she's kind of just having fun with it and wandering around. Now, after she looks at the video she filmed and they're in it,
yeah.
and she's seen those giant tree structures that there ain't no explanation for, and seen tracks. Now she's like, yeah, I got to be a little bit more serious when I'm out there with you guys, and kind of pay attention to where you are so I don't get left out there.
Yeah, Erin's a very smart and very pretty lady, and like I said, these animals, they tend to. There's one that they have even a chimpanzee. His name was Oliver. They called him the humanzee because they first thought he was a miniature Bigfoot. But a lady ended up getting him as his master, and he actually had romantic feelings towards his master that she finally had to get rid of him, and it wasn't just a sexual thing, but he actually, the emotion that went with it and everything else too. And you can look that up if you haven't. Look up Oliver the humanzee, and then you'll see some of those stories where he could light his own cigars, fix his own martinis and things like that. But he actually developed an affection with her, and so very, very a strange story.
Well, keep in mind, they're very similar to us, especially in the way probably adolescents and juveniles will act. You remember teenagers, how they're like horny and they'll go hump a knothole in a tree.
Right.
Well, there's bound to be some bad teenagers that don't follow rules properly, and that cutish looking human is looking pretty good right about then. So, there are the reports of that, and ladies should, be on the lookout for that, because even though it's apparently against their rules and whatnot, there's limits to how far you can tempt them. And, one of them can just make a bad move and do something that's naughty from their standpoint, but they went ahead and did it anyway.
And they do. I've seen that happen in zoos and stuff like that, where they exhibit that kind of strange behavior. But like I said, that's that way in the animal kingdom. Just like there's messed up people, there's messed up animals. And that's why we guys tend to go. If we carry any kind of thing to it's protection. It's protection. It's not just to go out and kill something, because that's not what ethical hunters do. I certainly don't. But, if you show me a 6-foot rattlesnake rattling 5 feet from my leg, then it's not a good day.
Yeah. Well, where you're at, you need to worry about that. I mean, that was funny because you kept asking me over and over before you came up here, how many snakes you got up there? Do I need snake boots? What are the bugs like? Hey, William, give me the bug report. How many mosquitoes and flies did you see while you were up here at Cafe?
Let's see, it was 3 flies and 2 mosquitoes, and that was it. I did keep a record for it.
There you go. That's how many there were. There were so few. He remembers exactly how many and how many snakes.
Didn't see any snakes, but
there you go.
But I did break the rule. I brought home 1 Montana tick, and you said there wasn't any ticks in Montana, and I brought home a
congratulations, you found one. You're pretty good, because nobody else has found one out there.
I like to joke with everybody because I'm so sweet, but I know much better than that. But
I could probably lay on the ground there for a month and I wouldn't get a tick on me, and you show up and they're like, yum. Cajun.
Like we didn't welcome him unless we, with all those ticks and deer and and moose that we had up there, you know, on those trails, all the tracks that we were seeing, surely some of them's going to fall off there, you know, everything. So, so those ticks like that, that's one of the drawbacks of doing the Bigfoot hunting down here in the South like that. There enough of that and chiggers, man. There's enough off-sold to make, you know,
Yeah.
to
That's
spray
a
down
nice.
a
That's
steam.
a trade-off up here. You don't have to worry so much about bugs,
Yeah.
but you have to like not freeze to death.
Yep.
So there's your, there's your trade-off.
Yeah, a couple
The
years
bugs
ago when
won't
I
be
went to
chewing on you
Alaska,
very much, but you're gonna be freezing your butt off late at night.
I guarantee you. Hey, man, I thought about looking for a werewolf to bite me just so I could grow some extra hair, man, because it was cold. Man, I'm not kidding with you. But it was a good time. Like I said, I very much enjoyed that. And if anybody has never had that opportunity, if they get a chance to go with you, if not, man, go out there and like I said, step outside your box and go out there and look around some. You're going to see some things that that you're going to realize that we don't know everything there is about this planet, and it's definitely worth exploring and finding out when you do.
Yeah, we're finding out more stuff all the time. And how are we doing it? By getting our boots on the ground, butts in the field, doing the research. And that's how we're doing it.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
And that's another thing for you guys to keep in mind when you're deciding which shows you want to watch. There's plenty of them out there right now. You might want to look forward to picking the show where the host actually does Bigfoot research.
Yep.
You're going to talk about Bigfoot. It might be handy if your host on the show actually knows something about the subject and hasn't just like read a couple of Bigfoot porn novels or something and went, hey, I'm going to do a show now.
Yep. You know, that there's no substitute for that boots on the ground up there and being out in the woods and seeing these things happen like that. If people can send you letters and all that bull, and you can drink your coffee and dress in your dadgum little nice little vest and do something like you're doing at a Starbucks. But folks, there's a big difference between people who actually care about the creature and who actually care about getting out there in the woods and about sharing this knowledge with other folks so that they can experience this. And like I said, I'm not talking bad about anybody. It's just some of these people are making a lot of money there, and they're making off innocent folks like, you know, some of the folks that are listening to us now. And that's, I don't think that's a good thing. I don't think that's good for this deal at all. Whereas you get somebody that wants to tell you the truth and that you get to experience yourself, I think that's the better way to go. So like you said, on those kind of shows, you know, take them with a grain of salt. They're amusing for sure, you know.
Yeah. It's creepypasta, essentially, whether you've got somebody that made up a story or you got somebody that mailed in a story that the host didn't bother to check and just went ahead and read because, hey, might as well be creepypasta. You don't know if it's real or not.
That's right.
You know, at least you got some of the shows where they actually have the guest on that's had the experience and they're telling the story. Right. Those ones you can listen to the guest and you can decide for yourself if you believe what they're telling you or not. But the story is coming from the person that had the story, not being read secondhand by somebody else. Those are garbage channels. They're not even worth wasting your time on. And anybody that tells you to don't pay any attention to Bigfoot researchers, that's somebody that doesn't know anything, doesn't have anything to show, and wants to distract you because they're a clickbait artist.
That's it.
They're there to make money and milk it out of you. And you know, people that say don't pay any attention to Bigfoot researchers, don't fund any of them or anything. They're just wasting your time. You send all your reports into me and I'll read them. Oh, and now I'm going to take all your reports and make a book out of them and sell that and make money. And by the way, I have a PayPal that you can help fund this effort for me to get more free stories from you, put them into books, and make money off them.
That's right.
If you guys haven't figured out who this grifter is that's conning all of you, you're not very bright.
And that's the last thing they ask for. Be sure you support my channel right there. The whole thing is for them to make money. And that's not what this is all about, man. You get real researchers out there, they want to share with you what they learn because they enjoy it themselves.
There's the point. The real researchers are giving their information away. The ones that want to charge you are frauds and hoaxers.
You know, and it's like I've likened it before to a bunch of the TV preachers. It's the same way. These guys have got their hands out, you know, and that's not the right way to go about it, man. Like I said, the first time somebody goes out there and takes some of that false information they've read from some of them stories that were made up and somebody gets hurt, somebody's going to have to answer for that. And that's why we try. Nobody knows for sure what any kind of animal, any kind of creature is going to do. But like I said, when we're out there telling you as a rule, this is what happens, we're telling you that from experience, and, you know, so that you don't have to experience the joke is, you know, you don't want to have to learn from your experience. You want to learn from the other guy's experience. Well, that's
Exactly. You don't want to make the same stupid mistake somebody else already
exactly.
made. And I take this responsibility very seriously. On an
So
average
do I.
week, I get at least 4 or 5 people contacting me going, Duke, something weird's going on, or I'm really scared, or I just saw something, I don't know what the hell it is. And I have to go through the report and the incident with them. And, here's my viewpoint on it. And this may be what's happening. If I was you, I would do this. So far, knocking on wood,
Yeah.
nobody that's taken my advice has gotten hurt as a result. And I take that very seriously. A lot of these clowns out there that think that they're just talking about an imaginary subject, making money off it. You give somebody bad advice and they get hurt as a result of you, that bad karma's on your ass, loser.
That's right. And this is not an imaginary animal. I say this all the time with every show I do, and I will say it again. Bigfoot is real, very real. There's more than one type of species of Bigfoot, and they all have different type of dispositions, but they are real. And if you get a chance and you're serious about about that stuff, then get out and learn all you can. Like I said, and find you somebody who's willing to give you their research rather than charge you for it, because that's one of those things right there that's generally not the research that's going to save your life right there. It's someone that's got at UPS we call it a BS degree, a butt in the seat, where you sit there and you got somebody that's sitting out there doing the research and who's seeing these things, and that's what you want. And that's what I would want for somebody. And then I take this very seriously. Anything I say, I'd hate to see anybody get hurt. I've come close myself a couple of times there. And
oh yeah. Yeah, the opportunity for people to get hurt or killed is very, very real. And if you're giving them bad and shoddy advice, you may be responsible for them getting hurt or killed. And that bad karma is on your stupid ass for being involved where you're too much of a rookie and shouldn't be offering advice or even be involved to start with.
And that's right. And man, like I said, I don't like to put other people down, but don't give people bad information, man, especially if you hadn't checked it out yourself. It's like being a dog trainer for pit bulls. See how you like that first. And then if you're happy with all the bites you've got and all the wounds and scars you're walking around, then try Bigfoot hunting and see how that goes. Other than that, right there, don't give people that false advice. Leave that to somebody who spends the time out there. And if there's nothing, man, I love to read a good Bigfoot story. Man, I love it. People who've had things, happen to them and stuff like that. And some people, they don't have the courage to tell it right up. I'm all for that. But like I said, make sure it's something that you've checked out,
That's it. If you're going to read somebody else's story, that's all fine. Go investigate, make sure it's real before you waste everybody's time listening to it. And as much as, Creepypasta is entertaining.
Yep.
And so, some people can write really interesting stories. They're fun to listen to. I even got a channel I like, Dead Man Talking, Forest of Fear. He does a lot of Gugly stories. But, very creative writers. He's got some really good guys on his team. He's a really good narrator, and there's several channels like that out there. Swamp Dweller's another one. They'll tell you straight up, though, they're creepypasta.
Right.
Some of these channels that are somewhere in between where they're going, well, I had somebody send me a report the other day, and I'm going to read it to you now. And good and damn well they made up half the crap in there if they didn't write the whole story themselves. Don't waste your time on channels like that, people.
Like I said, it's like watching science fiction. It's science fiction before you get in there and accept it for that. But anything else on that, like I said, this is something that,
That's the problem, though. You and I can listen to it and know it's science fiction. What about somebody that doesn't know anything about Bigfoot? They think it's real.
And folks, I'm going to tell you if I don't know. If I don't know, I just don't know. There's some things I haven't experienced. And I don't know, and so therefore I'm gonna try to, instead of try to give you just a guess and let you get there, I'm gonna say, man, I'm not sure, I've not experienced that yet. If I do, I'll let you know. So there's nothing wrong in that being said either. Like Duke said, don't sit there and say, well, you just come up with some kind of off the wall advice, and then all of a sudden somebody gets hurt, man. Because most time when somebody gets hurt, you're not by yourself, and that tends to end up leading somebody else in there. So this is not a morbid show, woe is me. This is something here that's serious advice that we haven't talked about much before, but I feel that responsibility, and I know that Duke does as well.
Yep, I don't want to be walking around the rest of my life going, I gave somebody bad advice and they vanished, never to be seen again.
Exactly.
I gave somebody bad advice and they found their battered corpse turned into a pretzel at the base of a cliff.
Well, that's true.
No, I'm not going to live with that. I'm going to give people the best advice I can give them. And if I don't know what to tell them, I'll tell them that. This
That's
is a
right.
weird situation. I don't know what to do with it. Or, too much woo involved. This is above my pay grade. I'll put you in
Right.
touch with somebody else that knows a lot more about that
Right.
I trust. And you can talk to them and get their feedback on it.
And by the same token, don't tend to, if you've something you haven't experienced, like, the woo factor, I haven't experienced any woo so far down here. Maybe it's because I just got regular old Southern animals, but I'm not going to say that it doesn't happen. All I'm going to tell you is I haven't experienced it yet. And if I do, I'll change my mind and tell you, because then that could be something different as well. So, like I said, I'm not going to sit there and claim that I've had it all happen to me and that it doesn't happen, because I don't know that it doesn't happen. 30 seconds before I saw my very first Bigfoot, you told me I was going to see a Bigfoot, I was going to laugh at you like crazy. 31 seconds later, I wasn't lying. I wasn't lying.
You weren't laughing at all.
That's exactly right. I had tears already running down my face, and my first thought was, "This is how I'm going to die." So it's different. So if and then that's the honest truth. That's how it was, man. I mean, I was hyperventilating, man. I couldn't even take a breath. This thing's sitting there. We're 40 to 45 yards between each other, and there's nothing there but just air and grass, buddy. And I'm like, and he's big enough that I'm looking at. I know it's not a bear, but I know it's something I'd never believed in. I knew the stories behind it, and man, it shook me up forever. And then when I finally started seeing a few more of these creatures, realized, hey, I've got to learn something about these things, because if I don't, my territory and theirs overlaps, and then it's not going to be a good scenario. So doing that right there. So again, get your reputable researchers out there and start listening to them, man. And contact Duke on his show. Like I said, I've opened my Facebook up to a lot of people. Try to answer to everybody that I get ones, but sometimes my computer kind of hangs up. But like I said, that's just the way it is, and that's the way I feel about it. I'm always glad to try to take the time to talk to somebody. And so even Duke, because Duke will tell you, I've kept him a little bit longer tonight than what I wanted to. But
no, that's okay. We're having a great time talking. I'm sure people are enjoying listening to it for the most part. And the other thing is too, you don't hear me on my show going, hey, if you've had an encounter, contact Duke, tell me all about it. When is the last time you heard me say that? I never do that.
No,
I'm not interested in hearing your encounter unless you're having a problem. If you're having some kind of an ongoing problem, then go ahead and contact me. If there's something I can do to help you with it, to figure it out, I'll do that. But I'm not here to be repository of everybody's stories. I've heard a million of them. I don't care. I'm interested in the patterns in the stories, but mainly what I'm interested in is if you're having an ongoing, like it's happening right now kind of problem, and you need some advice from somebody that might know what the hell's going on, contact me. I'll try and help you.
I'm going to give you an example. This the show that they've had on here. It's made down south. It's called Killing Bigfoot, and I know some of those guys, and the whole show was not their choice of names for sure. It was chosen by whatever channel decided they were going to run that show. But these are not guys that are just going after guns trying to just kill something. These are guys who are actually getting reports of aggressive animals that are killing their dogs, that are killing their chickens, that are coming up on the side of their house, beating on the side of their houses. I know a lady here who her and her husband had one